Hey guys, thought we'd start a classic today. Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. We were reading this the other week with the early years and everybody really enjoyed it. So we've got Mr. Fox, we've got Mrs. Fox, we've got small foxes, and Badger, Boggis, Bunce and Bean. Written by Roald Dahl and illustrated by Quentin Blake. Chapter book. I think we'll go for the first 2 or 3 chapters. 3 farmers. Down in a valley there were 3 farms. The owners of the farm had done well. They were rich men. They were also nasty men. All 3 of them were about as nasty and mean as any men you could meet. Their names were Farmer Boggis, Farmer Bunce and Farmer Bean. Boggis was a chicken farmer. He kept thousands of chickens and was enormously fat. This was because he ate 3 boiled chickens smothered with dumplings every day for breakfast, lunch and supper. Bunce was a duck and goose farmer. He kept thousands of ducks and geese and was a kind of pot-bellied dwarf. He was so short that his chin would have been under the water in the shallow end of the smallest swimming pool in the world. His food was doughnuts and goose livers. Blech. He mashed the livers into a disgusting paste and stuffed the paste into the doughnuts. This diet gave him a tummy ache and a really bad temper. Bean was a turkey and apple farmer. He kept thousands of turkeys in an orchard full of apple trees. He never ate any food. Instead, he drank gallons and gallons of strong cider, which he made from the apples in his orchard. He was as thin as a pencil and the cleverest of them all. Boggis, Bunce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, so different in looks, were nonetheless equally mean. It's what children around used to sing when they saw them. Chapter 2. Mr. Fox. On a hill above the valley there was a wood. In the wood there was a huge tree. Under the tree there was a hole. In the hole lived Mr. Fox, Mrs. Fox, and their 4 small children, 4 small foxes. Every evening, as soon as it got dark, Mr. Fox would say to Mrs. Fox, "Well, my darling, what should it be this time? A plump chicken from Boggis? A duck or goose from Bunce? Or a nice turkey from Bean?" And when Mrs. Fox told him what she wanted, Mr. Fox would creep down the valley in the darkness of night and help himself. Boggis, Bunce and Bean knew very well what was going on, and it made them wild with rage. They were not men who liked to give anything away, less did they like anything stolen from them. So every night each of them would take his shotgun and hide in a dark place somewhere on the farm, hoping to catch the robber. But Mr. Fox was too clever for them. He always approached the farm with the wind blowing in his face. This meant that if any men were lurking in the shadows, the wind would carry the smell to Mr. Fox's nose from far away. Thus, if Mr. Boggis was hiding behind chicken house number 1, Mr. Fox would smell him out from 50 yards, quickly change direction and head for chicken house number 4 at the other end of the farm. "Dang and blast, you lousy beast," cried Boggis. "I'd like to rip his guts out," said Bunce. "He must be killed," cried Bean. "But how?" said Boggis. "How on earth can we catch the blighter?" Bean picked his nose delicately with a long finger. "I have a plan," he said. "You've never had a decent plan yet," said Bunce. "Shut up and listen," said Bean. "Tomorrow night we'll all hide just outside the hole where Mr. Fox lives. We'll wait until he comes out, then bang, 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 bang." "Very clever," said Bunce. "But first we shall have to find the hole." "My dear Bunce, I've already found it," said crafty Bean. "It's up in the wood on the hill. It's under a huge tree." Scrooge tree. Oh, chapter 3. Let's see how long chapter 3 is. Oh yeah, let's go chapter 3 as well. The shooting. Well, my darling, said Mr. Fox, what shall it be tonight? I think I'll have duck tonight, said Mrs. Fox. Bring us 2 fat ducks, if you please. 1 for you and me, and 1 for the children. Ducks it shall be, said Mr. Fox. Bunce is best. Now do be careful, said Mrs. Fox. My darling, said Mr. Fox, I can smell those goons a mile away. I can even smell one from the other. Boggis gives off a filthy stink of rotten chicken skins. Bunce reeks of goose liver. And as for Bean, the fumes of the apple cider hang around him like a poisonous gas. Yes, but just don't get careless, said Mrs. Fox. You know they'll be waiting for you, all 3 of them. Don't worry about me, said Mr. Fox. I'll see you later. But Mr. Fox would not have been quite so cocky had he known exactly where the 3 farmers were waiting at that moment. They were just outside the entrance to the hole, each one crouching behind a tree with his gun loaded. And what's more, they had chosen their positions very carefully, making sure the wind was not blowing them, making sure that the wind was not blowing from them towards the fox's hole. In fact, it was blowing in the opposite direction, so there was no chance of them being smelled out. Mr. Fox crept up the dark tunnel to the mouth of his hole. He poked out his long, handsome face into the air and sniffed once. He moved an inch or 2 forwards and stopped, then sniffed again. He was always especially careful when coming out from his hole. He inched forward a little more. The front half of his body was now in the open. His black nose twitched from side to side. Can I go side to side? Nearly. Sniffing and sniffing for the scent of danger. He felt none, and he was just about to go trotting forward into the wood when he heard, or thought he heard, a tiny noise, a soft rustling sound, as though someone had moved a foot ever so gently through a patch of dry leaves. Mr. Fox flattened his body against the ground and lay very still. His ears pricked, and he waited a long time, but he heard nothing more. Must have been a field mouse, he told himself, or some other small creature, some other small animal. He crept a little further out the hole, then further still. He was almost right out in the open now. He took a careful look around. The wood was murky and very still. Somewhere in the sky the moon was shining. Just then his sharp night eyes caught the glint of something bright behind a tree, not very far away. It was a small silver speck of moonlight shining on a polished surface. Mr. Fox lay still watching it. What on earth was it? Now it was moving. It was coming up and up. Great heavens! It was the barrel of a gun! Quick as a whip, Mr. Fox jumped back into his hole. At that same instant the entire wood seemed to explode around him. Bang, 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 bang! The smoke from 3 guns floated upwards into the night air. Boggis, Bunce and Bean came out from behind their trees and walked towards the hole. Did we get him? Said Bean. One of them shone a flashlight into the hole, and there on the ground in the circle of light, half in, half out of the hole, lay the poor, tattered, blood-stained remains of a fox's tail. Bean picked it up. We've got the tail, but we missed the fox, he said, tossing the thing away. Dang and blast, said Boris. We shot too late. We should have let fly the moment he poked his head out. He won't be poking out again in a hurry, Bunce said. Bean pulled a flask from his pocket and took a swig of cider. Then he said, It'll take 3 days at least before he gets hungry enough to come out again. I'm not sitting around here waiting for that. Let's dig him out. Ah, said Boris, now you're talking sense. We can dig him out in a couple of hours. We know he's there. I reckon there's a whole family of them down there, down that hole, Bunce said. Then we'll have the lot, said Bean. Get Get the shovels. Cool. They've managed to shoot his tail. They've not got him, but they've shot his tail. They're not very nice, them farmers. When we come back, we need to read chapter 4. The terrible shovels. Ooh, sounds scary. See you later.